So I'm in wild mode, and this morning I was in sparkle mode and I recorded a heap of videos for this movie, but I had no focus, so it was just all over the place. So when I watched it back, I realized I wasn't looking at the camera because I couldn't focus on looking at the camera. I was too busy looking at myself because I was in sparkle mode and I was just this sparkly fairy. And at some point when I was watching it back, I shifted into wild mode because I got really angry at myself. Now I'm in wild mode, and now I'm just like, recorded it again, but then I've just watched it back and it's got like this angry vibes about it, and I'm like, I can't use that either. So now I'm sitting here just having this wild mode tantrum because I'm not going to feel like doing it in bear mode. I think what I'm going to do is wait until I hit super mode, and then I'm just going to like structure it all out and just bang it all out and just record it all in order and make it all nice, because in super mode I'll be able to do that. Right now I'm just too like, can't, wild. Is a theory. It's this theory that as women, we cycle through a pattern. We move through these different energetic states and we move through them in order. There are 4 of them, and I've given them names to help me remember them and to help other people remember them too. They're going to feel different for you to how they feel for the next person, but it's about getting to know what these 4 energetic states look and feel like for you.
I think it's really interesting the way that Carlie kind of went about doing this. So actually speaking with women and sort of tracking this over a period of time with basically an experimental group, which I think is really exciting and a really great way to approach it. It's actually really different to what a lot of people do when they go about writing a book.
There are different sides of me that I'm allowed to unleash in a way, and it covers all the different parts of me without it feeling like I'm crazy, because I think the crazy label is really just to say that something is wrong. So for me, Somo's was a way of seeing myself that is more expansive.
This just makes so much sense, and it explains. I literally felt like I just had to keep flipping pages to think this just makes so much sense and explains so much about life, everything.
I was struggling. I was a new mum. I was having trouble in my marriage. I didn't know kind of what was up, but looking back, I was really disconnected from myself and from a lot of the people around me, including my husband. My marriage broke down, we separated, and I was trying to put myself back together again. And a therapist suggested that I write down my feelings each day. And I had my own little take on it, that I would ask myself, what do I need today in order to feel okay? Because some days I wasn't okay, I didn't feel okay. And so I'd keep asking myself this question, sometimes several times a day, and I would write down what it was that I needed. Sometimes it was like to get out and go for a walk, or to get into bed and hide away, or to be with friends, or to be alone, or to buy something new, or to throw out something old, or like just little things that are like, it helped me feel purposeful. It helped me have something to focus on. I just saw this pattern. It was like there were 4 different versions of me. There was the one who was all kind of like, what she needed was to, get things done. She was motivated. She was like, it's going to be okay. I'm just going to start getting up early, and I'm going to start doing meditations in the morning. And, she would like try and create like structure, and that gave her something to hold on to. Then there was another version of me who was just like, wasn't interested in any of that. She just wanted to kind of hide away and watch movies and read books and, write in a journal or have a bath. And then there was another version of me who was kind of like fiery. She was like, no, you know what? You watch me. I'm going to have the most amazing life. You watch me. You watch me. I will rise from these ashes. It was like this wild, she was my wild woman. And then there was this other version of me who was kind of just like this earth mother, so present. All I wanted was to connect and love everybody and forgive everybody and just have harmony and feel gratitude and bring positive vibes. I was all about just, if I can bring in positive vibes. And some days it would be like, today I'm going to put some makeup on, I'm going to put a dress on, I'm going to do my hair. That's what I need today. And I noticed there were just these 4 different versions of me, and I gave them nicknames. It was my wild woman, my hibernating bear, my superhuman, and my sparkly fairy. And they became wild mode, bear mode, super mode, and sparkle mode. And I went looking for like, what's causing this? Because I'm like, this is really weird. There must be something causing it. Is it like got to do with my menstrual cycle, or is it got to do with the moon, or, you know, is it something to do with what the planets are up to? And I just couldn't pin it to anything. It didn't line up with anything else. So that's why I started to call them my soul modes, because it was like this soul deep thing. It was driven by what I was yearning for. And so that's when I'm like, I think this is a thing. And I started talking to other people about it. And I have not yet met a woman who has not said, that's me too. And that's when I sort of had this feeling of like, oh, I'm onto something. This is bigger than me. This is big. This is womanhood, and I've got to do something with this. I wrote the book, and I wrote the book in 3 months. It fell out of me. I sat down and not without any resistance on my part of going like, man, I think I knew how big it was going to be. I think I knew it was going to be a bestseller. And in a way that kept me going, that I had to do a whole lot of work myself. And I worked with my modes, with all the 4 different versions of me, all the 4 different parts of me. I had to work with them to actually get this book out, to get it out into the world. And I'm so glad that I have. And here we are making the movie.
You know, when I went and actually looked at the research, there's a lot that actually kind of almost sits aligned with what we know to be true. So one thing, for instance, is in relation to mindfulness. So mindfulness is about accepting what's happening now and really being in the present moment. And what struck me initially about soul modes was it was actually it was giving us a way to do that. It was giving us a mechanism to sit, stop and go, hang on, how do I actually feel today? Soul modes to me is very much about intrinsic motivation and actually looking at, okay, let me just sit with myself and think, okay, what's going on for me today, and accepting that and being okay with that rather than trying to fight against it.
So I can see how soul modes connects in with a lot of what I've learnt with Chinese medicine. So a lot of the fire, water, earth and wood elements, there's quite a lot of similarities. So fire elements, like your passionate, fiery, wild energy, it's very agitated and irritated. So I can see a similar cycle play out, and it's quite helpful because now when my clients come, I can actually spot what mode they're in and help them to balance their mode and figure out what their body might want, because some people aren't aware of what their needs are in a particular mode or however they're feeling. So I can tap into, okay, what does your body actually want right now to fill you up?
The thing that I really talk about with other parents and trying to help them prepare for life with their kids is to have plans for when, am I allowed to swear?
Go for it.
It's to have plans for when it's the fan, basically. And so I've always tried to have people create this list about what would feel good for them in a moment when everyone's energy in the house is low, and how can they prevent the meltdowns a little more and things like that. And that's going to look different in each mode. You know, in bear mode, they might need to walk away for 10 minutes and just try, you know what, scroll on their phone for 10 minutes and just do nothing. In sparkle mode, they might say, I want to go outside and let's go get some sunshine and let's go kick a ball around and shake up our energy that way. In super mode, they might just want to chuck on a movie and go and sit in front of the computer and get 10 minutes of work done. That's definitely me. In wild mode, anything can happen. But, you know, you want to put that, you know, so you can make your list and you can put some different options on the fridge and to be able to go, you know what, because it's all well and good to say, okay, I'm in the moment and I need something to shake up my energy. If you've got on your list all things that are like, listen to some quiet music, sit in the corner and read a book, but you're wild, that's not going to cut it.
It's really been life-changing. I know it sounds crazy, but I think that when you have greater understanding of yourself and greater knowledge of why you do things and how you do things, and like it's literally like someone's gone, here's the explanation for why you feel like lying on the couch all day, and then the next day you feel like doing all the things, and it's okay to feel like that.
So the 4 soul modes go in order. It's wild mode, bear mode, super mode, and then sparkle mode. And then we cycle back around to wild mode again. And people seem to spend different amounts of time in each. So you might cycle quite fast. And I know lots of people who spend maybe about 1 day in each mode. But I also know lots of people that spend several days in each mode. Some people might have a really short sparkle mode, but a really long wild mode. And it really comes down to how efficiently you're able to fill that cup. And for me, this is really about helping the women of the world to feel good. Because if the women of the world feel good, the world will be a better place. We're the life givers, we're the nurturers. Whether you have birthed children or not, we are the nurturers of the world. And the world needs us to be okay. And the world needs us to be coming from a full cup.
I'm in wild, so I went for a run this morning, and I was like, I'm so wild, because I even had wild music on, so I had like, hey, I heard you are a wild one, and then I was like, wild thing, and like, it was just all wild songs, and I was like, oh my god, this is so corny.
Wild mode is the fiery one. It's that one where you've just got no patience, you get really kind of fired up about wanting to just become the next level version of you. It might be that I cannot stand how unfit I am. I'm doing something about it. That's it. It's happening now. Or it might be like, that's it. I'm starting a business. I'm doing something with this idea that's been rattling around in my head for ages. Or it could even be, we're going to sell everything and buy a caravan and travel around the country. Or for some people, it's just simply, I'm cutting all my hair off. I've seen so many people do that. It's just that feeling of no more, that's it, it's happening now. Wild mode is great for keeping you moving towards the life you want to have. Your inner wild woman, she has no tolerance for any part of your life that is not in full alignment with where you're headed. So if the next level version of you has a particular haircut or drives a certain car or dresses in a particular way, she's going to be like, that's happening now. The problem arises when we feel that frustration and we kind of take it out on the people around us. My partner used to find it really hard to live with me in my wild mode. Now that I know really what it is and I'm much better at managing that and finding outlets for that energy. So I might just create a whole new course in a wild mode, or just completely redo my website, or, you know, just declutter the whole house. And it will help me to get that energy out of me, which means I'm not spitting venom at him and the kids, because we're really easily frustrated in wild mode.
My favourite mode, probably wild, because I'm a very fiery personality. And for me, I feel like I get all this inspiration. Like I might go for a run and then I'll just get this insane idea and I'll be like, stuff it, I'm just going to try it. And then I'll find the things that I just jump into like that, if I'm in wild mode, tend to just fall into place.
My absolute favourite is wild. Because you just have this energy that you literally can take on anything. I feel like you feel unstoppable, like similar to super, but in a different energy. Like you've got this real fire inside you and this raw that you're like, nobody's going to hold me down. Like I've got this and I know that I can do it.
Mem in wild mode has all the ideas, wants to start all the businesses, wants to throw out every single toy in our house, and likes to put on very loud music for dance parties. I think because it keeps my energy up, and so I just want to like be in this like, you know, high energy, and so I have all these dance parties whether the kids are involved or not.
I think for me, learning the soul modes framework taught me just to not polarize myself so much, because you know, when we do have the days where we might be irritated and wild, or, you know, feeling really isolated and bare, or whatever it is, remembering it's like you have that security of knowing it's passing. Whereas when you're not aware of the cycle, you feel like it's forever, and you get that talk of I'm always like this, or I'm never that, but with the framework you start to understand, well, actually I'm not always like that, and this is going to cycle round again, and that's okay. So
I think there was a time where I genuinely thought there was something wrong with me, because I would get all motivated and I would decide that I was going to start going to the gym, or that I was going to really build my business, or different things I would like get so excited about or caught up in, or like, so yes, it's happening, that's it. I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do meal planning or all these things. And then I wouldn't stick to it. And I thought that there was something wrong with me because I was inconsistent, or, you know, I was flaky and I couldn't stick to stuff, and things that, you know, wouldn't bother me one day would just drive me mental another day. And I'm just like, and even my husband would say, he's like, what is the matter with you? You know, and looking back, nothing was, but I was fighting against myself. I was trying to live life in this way that society says that we need to, where we have to be consistent and we have to do the same things every day, and we have to, you know, there's books that say you have to get up at 5 a.m. every day, and you have to bound out of bed, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you. But then there was a part of me that was like, well, some mornings I just want to sleep in and snuggle with my babies. You know, it's like all this advice is coming from different directions, you know, go slow and, you know, be present and spend time with them and gaze at them. And then other people like hustle, get up and do stuff and, you know, go to the gym and lift weights. And other people are like, you know, no, go and do yoga. And I just felt like I didn't know who I was and what was actually going to work for me. But I knew that there was something tugging at me, that I know there's a way to make my life better, but I was just continually searching for it. And I didn't realize this whole time that it was inside of me. All I had to do was stop and listen and tune in to actually, Carlie, what do you want? How do you want to do life today? And just because you wanted to do life a particular way 2 days ago doesn't mean it's the way you have to do life today. And that was the most empowering thing, because I didn't have to look for anything outside of me. I had the magic right there. But I thought I was broken, and I thought I was no good, and I thought I was never going to amount to anything because I couldn't stick to something, because I would change my mind about stuff.
It's so not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you, and going up and down in life is a part of life. If you are always on a high or you're always on a low, having no ebb and flow, that's just not how it's meant to be anyway. It's just not how it's meant to be. Probably the biggest takeaway I've taken from Soul Modes is just to be kinder to myself and more loving and accepting, and because I know that it's not forever.
And so then once you accept this is who you are, then you go, actually, I can trust myself. Actually, I am pretty smart. I actually know what I need to do.
And the biggest thing for me is creating the acceptance around yourselves, allowing things and recognizing it and acknowledging it and knowing that it's there and it'll pass, or that there's a reason for things. And I mean, it's great for tracking and it's good for planning and things like that, but I think the main thing is just validation.
So I shifted into wild mode yesterday afternoon. I knew because I got really cranky I'm just thinking about how much I share of this. And so I'm like, I will be talking to the manager. I didn't say that to her, but I decided to be talking to the manager. I'm like, okay, wild mode is here. Talking to the manager is a pretty wild mode thing to do for me. Like in the morning, I wanted to go to the shopping centre and look for a dress for a wedding. When I was in wild mode, I wanted to look for a dress for a wedding that's in a couple of weeks, and I was looking at this like hot pink, and so I wanted to go and look at that. And then by the time we got there in the afternoon, just now I could tell I was shifting into the mode, because I was just like, oh, I couldn't possibly wear that, I couldn't possibly pull that off. And Darren was pulling dresses off the rack for me to look at, and I was just like, I don't think I can pull that off. And it's like hello bear mode. Now I'm shifting. episode. So have you ever had this big, crazy, awesome idea and you get all excited about it, and then maybe like a couple of days later or a week later you just have this big crisis of confidence and just like, you know what, I'm actually really tired. Look, I just don't think I have time to do that stuff. I'm just, you know what, I think I'm just gonna like take it easy for a while. I'm just gonna live this simple life and I'm not gonna do anything crazy until probably like, you know, when the kids are all at school, or, you know, maybe like next year sometime. That's what I'll do. That's usually bear mode. So it's when we often feel like we've reached capacity. Our motivation will drop. Sometimes, particularly if you're an introvert, then you're really going to crave time alone. Generally, it's when we're craving stillness and peace. I know I need quiet in my bear mode. It's often the time when, if you're a mother of young children, you're going to feel touched out and like, I just need a minute alone to just do nothing. That's bear mode. It's actually a really beautiful, important time. It's just time for that stillness. We need the stillness. We can't be doing all the time, even though society tells us we need to be. It's just not true. And we've got to take those moments to really fill ourselves up and to also just pay attention to what's happening for us internally. If you've got some really, you know, some beliefs about yourself and what you're capable of that are holding you back, they're going to come to the surface in bear mode because it's a bit quieter up here. We get a bit more foggy and there's little whispers in the back of your mind that tell you that you're not good enough. They can get a little bit louder and that can feel really challenging. So one of the things that I'm really, I guess, determined to do is to help the women of the world know what to do in that space and to give them tools they can use, whether it's journaling or meditation, but just basically responding to what you need in those moments, because there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken and you are not lazy.
When I first started trying to track my modes, when you first started talking about them, and I tried to follow it along, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Because like, it wasn't working. I'm like, I don't have these things. And I'm like, I only have the one, and it's bear, and it sucks. But yeah, it just kind of happened organically that I was already going through the motions trying to get my health back on track. And as that happened, all of a sudden I started noticing little peaks in my energy and things like that. And I was like, oh, hang on, there it is. So
Bear, I think I would used to have judged myself, but now I can understand that it's just the reflection cycle coming into play, and that's perfectly natural and normal. And so it's brought a lot more understanding and not so much fear around when I do want to hibernate and have a bath or be really slow and not care about the house or whatever it is.
So for me, like, I might not have a favorite mode, but bear mode is one that becomes my anchor. So when I feel like I'm really lost and I don't know what mode I'm in and I'm just flowing with it because I really don't care, but bear mode will come and I'll get really internal and I'll really notice it because I'm distancing myself from people. I'm very much in my head. I'm having a lot of more internal conversations with my inner wisdom and my intuition and all that kind of stuff. So I notice that. So that becomes an anchor where I'm like, oh, I'm back to bear mode again.
Pressures from work and deadlines and kids and husbands and groceries that need to be done. I think all that stuff can impact, I know for me, it can impact my ability to see what mode I'm in, and it can also impact my ability to move through them. I think if I have noticed though, I do like to meal plan, except when I'm in bear mode. Hate meal planning in bear mode, and I then get frustrated because I haven't meal planned and done a full week's grocery shopping in bear mode, and for the rest of the week I have to go to the supermarket even though I'm in other modes, which drives me a bit bonkers. But I'm learning to juggle knowing that it's coming. Mim in bear mode struggles to parent. I want silence and calm and people not needing me because I just want some space I'd like to do lots of things in bear mode, but I find it difficult because I'm a mum. And lots of the things I want to do involve no children and no noise and no one needing me. So I find in bear mode, I will often like just watch something on TV on the couch and allow the kids to just run riot in the house. I think bear mode is definitely when I do the most journaling. I find bear mode is when I call a couple of particular friends who I can just brain dump on. And I find that bear mode is when I like to cook easy meals or order takeaway.
And yet when I'm berry, I kind of become this like uncomfortable combination between wanting to like love on my kids and spend like quiet time with them and read with them and play puzzles and stuff like that. And then they're also like grindingly irritating at the same time. So I'm like, I want to be with you, but I want to be with you quietly. And then they make noise and I'm like, nah, I'm done. So
Yeah, so before I knew what it was, looking back, it was happening. Like, I was going through the modes. I just didn't know what they were. I just thought that I was this roller coaster. I just thought I was this crazy woman who's, you know, hormonal or affected by the moon or, you know, whatever was going on. And those things might still be the case, but I would kind of be blaming all these other things outside of me, or something my husband had said, or, you know, the state of the house, or whatever it was that was causing me to feel particular ways. And I was very much kind of all over the place. I guess it's the only way I can describe it, is I was all over the place. And every one of those places is actually exactly where you're meant to be, and that there's beautiful and important kind of work to be done, whether it's inner work or outer work or connection or whatever it is that we're kind of craving. It's a guidance system. It's not a roller coaster. It's a guidance system. And I was just flying blind. I didn't know that it was there. I would fight with my husband. One day he would drive me crazy. The next day I couldn't get enough of him. You know, one day I would be just obsessed with my daughter and her little eyelashes. And the next day I was like, if I don't get a moment alone, I'm going to scream. And I don't think I ever sort of stopped to question that maybe there's actually nothing wrong with me at all. And maybe this is just the ebb and flow of life. And if I can surrender to that and see the beauty in it, and, you know, maybe have some tools. What I didn't have were the tools. What I wasn't doing was getting to know these 4 different parts of myself. I was just resenting the fact that they were there.
But seeing the contrast between that and now, I allow that now and I accept it as part of me, and that's why it passes so much quicker and I'm able to access a lot more internal wisdom. So during that time when I wasn't accepting it and thinking that there was something wrong with me, I would ignore a lot of the thinking and the stuff that I was dealing with, thinking it's just fear, I'm just resisting, I'm just a procrastinator, I'm just someone who is just not very good at getting things done, or I can't be consistent. And so now because I accept it and I see it as part of the cycle, my consistency is there and I allow it, and therefore anything that does come up, if it is fear, it is procrastinating, if it is resistance, if it is feeling like I'm getting depressed because I did suffer from a little postnatal issues, I can recognize that one is me and one is there's some sort of hormonal stress, body, not enough sleep issue. And so being able to recognize that means I'm a lot healthier now, even if it's emotionally, mentally, and physically, because I can discern between there's actually something wrong versus no, actually, I just need to do this internal stuff because this is who I am, and I'm able to make connections that I couldn't make in any of my other modes, and it comes out in greater wisdom in all the other areas of my life.
I have been in bear mode all day, but it wasn't like a big deep bear mode. It was quite a deep bear mode last night. I plunged into it and I kind of coasted back out. I don't think I'm quite out. I hope to be tonight though, because I've got a bunch of things I want to do. But Harry was really clingy and just really, really a little koala, and I found myself getting like, oh, get out of my face. So I was a bit berry, but I did find, as soon as I woke up this morning, I journaled, and some really cool stuff came through, and I was really able to still live stream and still say some really cool stuff. Yeah, I look forward to hitting super, because I'm launching Online Empire at the moment, which isn't just like an online program, and I feel like there's so much more I want to do for that launch, but at the moment I'm just sitting in my berry energy because I know it'll come, and if I fight against it, the work I do won't be that amazing. So I'm going to do a meditation while I get my lashes done as soon as my mother gets here. No, I don't know why I do that. I don't wear a watch. Anyway.
Super mode is a good one. It's when we just get everything done. It's when we think really logically, we have that really kind of practical mind. We get very like structured. I'm going to plan it all out. You know, suddenly we start planning the whole next month and we're like, oh, I'm going to cook all the meals for the next fortnight. I'm going to stock up all the freezer and, you know, I'm going to do all the Christmas shopping now. So then I've got it all organized. And it's great. It's a really cool energy, but we can get very swept up in our to-do list. We can become very focused on the detail, and it can be easy to forget to think about the big picture, like the beautiful people around us who we love. And so we can't stay in that energy all the time as much as we would like to. And this is the cool thing about soul modes, is it keeps us balanced.
My super mode is lists galore. It's like, I'll just make this massive to-do list, and on my phone there'll be like a to-do list for the groceries and a to-do list for the meals and then a to-do list for my business and for the website, and like it's just list. And it's so satisfying to just like tick that little box. And so I get really super organized. The house has to be in a certain way for the energy to flow so that I can feel really organized. I'll be following up my clients really well and just planning out time. Like I might sit and plan the next few months of things for work. So it kind of gets me a lot more organized, whereas the wild is like the let's chuck all the ideas there and wait for the super to go, okay, when's this happening and who's doing that? And
Super mode for me is I just get stuff done. I really just get stuff done. I'm quite a like busy person anyway. Like over all of my modes, I'm still quite busy.
Mim in super mode is in her happy place because she can get all the things done. I like to make lists of all the things I need to do that day. I like to make lists, categorize lists of all the things in all the different areas of our life. I think Mim in super mode likes to feel like she's done a lot in the day and ticking lots of boxes and saying I did this and this and this and this and this and this definitely fills my cup in super mode.
I like lists. I like organization. I like getting things done. I like ticking things off, and I enjoy that in any mode. But it feels really good in super.
I used to have a favorite mode, and for me that would have been super mode, because it's very productive, it's very masculine energy, it helps me accomplish things. That's when I thought I was the most at my best, and it's something that I'm naturally drawn to. I see this in my mum and my grandmother. We are strong women who are independent and who like to get things done, and when it's done, and what we decide it gets done. But nowadays, because I understand that there's 4 different sides of me, and allowing all 4 to kind of flow as they need to, I'm finding that they're all my favorites in other modes sometimes. And so when it's things that come up that I need to deal with, let's say in bear mode, and I'm dealing with a lot of internal things, I'm probably wishing for super mode and sparkle mode, while I'm in wild mode and everything's just like stimulating a little too much and everything's too loud and I am feeling extremely frustrated. That's probably when I'm wishing for bear mode or all the other modes.
I find that because I am naturally a very productive person and I do juggle a lot of things, that I get a lot of feedback from external people about how much I'm able to do, which fills the super cup quickly, but it also, I'm learning not to cycle through everything else really fast just to get back to the mode where everyone else thinks I'm super mum, because it's okay to not be super mum all the time.
yeah, so I feel very strongly, and I teach a lot of my clients as well, that you need to check in with yourself daily. What felt good yesterday might not feel good today. And when you think of things like meditation, like I know for me, it often clears my path. But then if I'm in a wild day or a super day, I'm not going to feel like sitting still and doing that. And I think that if we put these rules of, you know, you should do this, you should meditate every day, or you should run every day, it just creates shame when people don't do it, because then they feel like, what's wrong with me? I'm not doing this and I should be. And really at the end of the day, a should is an injected value. So it's not something that's authentic to you. It's something that you feel like other people are telling you to do. So I think it's really important to tune in and notice and allow yourself each day to flow in a different direction. There's no rules, really.
It's almost like a little superpower. You know, you've got this knowledge and this awareness about yourself. You know how you tick, you know what kind of fuel you need. And so that's what you give it.
One particular researcher, Barry Zimmerman, who's done a lot of work in self-regulated learning, talks about this sort of cycle of motivation that we go through in relation to learning. Now, soul modes obviously goes beyond learning, but learning is something we're doing every day. I think a lot of the time when we think learning, we're thinking, oh, you know, being at uni or reading a book or those kinds of things. But if you think about the environment we're in, and this is in particular for entrepreneurs and people in a growth mindset who are constantly learning and constantly adapting, we do actually go through these different phases. And that's what Zimmerman has kind of spent, you know, a very decades kind of working through improving. So the first one is around forethought and planning and setting goals and actually working out, okay, what do we want to do? Then we sort of go through these two phases of monitoring and controlling. So taking action and implementing the strategies that we've sort of put together initially. And then the final mode is about reflection. Now, to me, this kind of pairs up quite nicely with the four sort of phases that we go through that Carlie's put forward in soul modes. Like if you think about bear mode, for instance, that's a very self-reflective mode.
Hey, you guys. Superhuman Carlie coming at ya. Thank God. Thank God. That was a big, deep, beary, swirly bear mode, that was. I started to shift last night after Pilates, but I still was like my motivation had come back, but I was still a bit emotionally drained from a full-on day. And so the cloud didn't quite lift. I stayed up till 11 o'clock, reading and stuff like that, but I didn't actually really feel like doing a lot of tangible activity type stuff. Sometimes it takes a little while for the berry fog to lift, but I've woken up and it's gone, thank goodness. I know I'm in super mode because I'm looking at my planner and it has a bunch of things one after the other today, and I'm kind of excited by that. If I was in wild mode, I'd be like, where am I going to fit in all my creative explosions? But in super mode, I'm like, yeah, cool, I've got a structure, I've got something kind of holding me in, which I like. So I've got back-to-back things until after lunch, and then that gives me a little bit of time. I've got this block of time in the afternoon where I'm like, cool, now I can catch up on this, and this. Sparkle mode is such a beautiful one. It's when we really shift into our beautiful feminine nurturing energy. So if dresses and makeup are your thing, it's when you're most likely to feel like doing that. You might want to put on a flowy dress, you might let your hair down, you might put on music. There's always music playing in my house when I'm in sparkle mode. I'm often dancing and I can't get enough of my kids. It's like they get extra cute when I'm in sparkle mode. You often see people posting pictures of their kids when they're in sparkle mode because they're just like, look how cute, I'm so proud of them. And also often will become more affectionate. So what we're craving in sparkle mode is connection. It's just that connection. So it's often when you might suddenly feel really guilty about, I've been on my phone so much, or I've been so focused on getting things done, I haven't just stopped to spend time with my children. And sparkle mode is just this beautiful reminder to just stop and be and connect and shut the laptop and go for a drink with a girlfriend or go to the park with your family. And it's a beautiful time, but it took me a little while to learn to embrace it because I used to really get annoyed that I lost all my focus.
because I would be in the zone in my super mode. I'd be like, I'm getting everything done, this is amazing, I'm in the zone, and then it would kind of just disappear, and I'd be like, where did my flow go? There's something wrong with me. And again, there was nothing wrong with me, it was just time to focus on something else.
I change quite quickly, so I might spend only half a day in a mode if I'm really good at filling up my cup, and then I'll feel the shift in the afternoon already coming across. But yeah, there's been the odd days, like the last few days, where I've felt like I've been in Sparkle for like 3 or 4 days, which was quite unusual for me. I think I needed to linger in Sparkle more, because I feel like that's my most challenging mode, because I have this perception of myself that I'm not as nurturing as I actually am. And so I've been challenging myself to actually look around it and see, well, actually, I am really nurturing. Where is that? Because I'd kind of perceived that I wasn't. And so then I was lingering for longer, perceiving my cup wasn't filling, but it actually was. Does that make sense?
I find the Sparkle mode the most challenging for me, because I take on a lot of other people's energies, and I feel like I want everybody to be happy like I am, you know, like I want everything to be smooth sailing, and if I want to, you know, put on a pretty dress and get dressed up and go to the park and just let's all have a great time, you know, let's just swing on the swings and all of that. And then if my children aren't cooperating as well as I'd love them to, then I'm all like, oh, it's so lovely. I really get affected by that. But the really positive thing for Sparkle for me is that I get all these like really strong manifesting vibes around like all the possibilities, and I feel like they really could come true.
I'm more likely to spend more time on myself, or get myself dressed nicely, or kind of sit and eat my lunch instead of scoffing it down and rushing off to do the next job. I'm more present when I'm sparkly, I think. So, and I find that I'm more present with myself, which is nice.
I love getting all girly. So I love putting on dresses, and like I'll do my hair really nice, and I'll have my makeup done, and I'll love my boobs, and you know, like I might wear something a bit more, you know, flattering in that sense, that really flatters my feminine. Yeah.
Mim in Sparkle mode likes to stay up late and sit and watch TV with my husband. I like to hold the sleeping baby for a little bit longer. I will often suggest opening a bottle of red after the kids have gone to bed so that we can stay up longer. I do find my Sparkle cup gets filled very quickly, just because I have young children who want the interaction and the connection all the time. Like having a baby, your Sparkle cup gets filled because you're holding them and you look at them and they're so cute and they giggle and they're so delicious and you just want to eat them alive, and there's your Sparkle cup done.
It is Sparkle Day today. I'm in Sparkle mode. I can tell because I've been very happy just to kind of chill and lay on the beach and play. My friend came over with a puppy today. I was very excited about that. And I just was doing a video inside of Say It Sister, which is an online program I'm running at the moment, which is all about finding your voice. And I said to my partner, can you just watch the kids? I just need 10 minutes. I've just got to go do this video. And I went up. And as soon as I began, my son, I think my partner took a hammer off my son. And so he was crying, and I was trying to concentrate on delivering this lesson and doing this video, but I could hear my son crying. And there is nothing more challenging in Sparkle mode than hearing one of your children cry and needing to maintain focus on what you're doing. And he was just having some feelings about the hammer being taken off him, but I'm sitting there going, honey, pick him up. In my mind, I'm just going, honey, pick him up, for the love of God, pick him up, give him a dummy and give him a cuddle, because I cannot concentrate. And I found it very, very hard, which is very typical Sparkle mode. That's how I know I'm in Sparkle mode, and because I've just decided that we need to make Play-Doh and pina coladas. So I'm off to the supermarket to get things to make Play-Doh and pina coladas, and that's what I'm off to do. That's my Sparkle mode day, and I will see you tomorrow when I'm wild.
The reason I believe that the Soul Modes motivational framework is really important in society today is because we're sort of always pressured to be in this performance mode. In our workplace, in the culture that we've created, in a lot of organizations, it's always, it's always based around performing, and it's very executive driven, right? It's very much about getting stuff done, being in a doing mode, not asking questions, not spending time thinking and reflecting, because what we reward our employees for is largely, how many hours did you spend producing something for me? But if you look at some of the best performing organizations, they actually give time to their employees to reflect, to think, to be in different modes, to be in different mindsets, and use that. And so I think we need to more and more, and I've spent, the last year speaking to industry leaders around the world about things like this, is that we need to be shifting our culture in a way that enables people to just be more human and actually be more authentic and show up however they are. So if you show up to work one day and you're really feeling, maybe a bit tired, or maybe a little bit more, closed off, insular, less extroverted, then allow people to do that. That's okay. If you're feeling like that, that might be a day to do a certain type of task, right? Rather than trying to push through and show up and continue performing. Because when we do that, we're not being authentic, and we're not actually allowing ourselves to process things, to reflect, to do the things that our body needs us to do. This doesn't just happen at work, right? This happens everywhere. If you're a parent, if you're going out with friends, you're supposed to kind of show up and be a certain person in order to fit in. I'm a really big fan of Brené Brown, and how she talks about true belonging is about actually having the courage to be who you are, and show up as you are, rather than trying to fit the mold of the situation that you're in or the people that you're around. And I think Soul Modes gives us a really nice framework for doing that, for tapping back into ourselves, for thinking about what is going on for us, and not feeling like we just have to neglect that and show up and just do what other people want.
Understanding the soul modes has actually enabled me to go, that wild, fiery part of me, I love her. She's so great because she achieves this and she helps me to do this. And then that quiet, swept up in her own swirly feelings, bear version of me, I love her because she's able to really go to those places where she can heal stuff and she can release stuff and she can feel deeply, and she's so connected to what actually really matters. And from that place, she's actually pretty chill. She's actually pretty zen. And when you're in a really, dynamic go industry, or, you've got a really demanding job, to be able to just surrender to that. People say to us, we have to do self-care. You have to go and get massages, and you have to have naps, and you have to have days at the day spa, or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, all those things are lovely. But if you're trying to go there when you're not actually in that headspace, it's going to feel excruciating. It's actually not going to feel fun, and probably not going to fill you up. Different things fill your cup on different days. And so it's like, if you can get to know all of the parts and love all of the parts of yourself, you can give those parts what they need. And instead of going, I'm always so lazy, it's like, when I'm in bear mode, I feel like resting. Like, doesn't that feel so much better? It's so much more self-loving to look at it that way, rather than think, there's something wrong with me because every 4 days or every 8 days or however quickly you cycle, that every now and again, I just don't want to do anything. Because society values external output as being valuable, as being, if you've got your house organized and you're volunteering for all the school things and you always look made up or whatever, then you must be doing a good job of life. It's like, well, for me, it's actually, how much am I surrendering to my own needs? How much am I filling my cup? Because from a full cup, I can actually give to my family in a meaningful way. and I can actually show up in the world and do my work in the world in a much more meaningful way that's coming from overflow, it's coming from I feel so filled up and nourished, as opposed to this I'm sacrificing everything to give to all you people, which we end up resenting and or burning out. It's such an amazing feeling of freedom that you know that there is a part of you that can attend to anything in your life that needs to be done. And I just love myself so much more now. Which, for saying someone who went through a separation with a young child, and my whole life that I had built up for myself came crumbling down around me all of a sudden. And to be able to say, to come back from that, to be able to put the pieces back together and get to this place now and be able to say, I love wholeheartedly every single piece of myself and feel no shame about that whatsoever. That's a beautiful place to be. Do you communicate with your husband about your modes?
Yes. It was so funny. Like the other night, I was like, oh, let's just cuddle, you know, I'm in sparkle mode. And he's like, what does sparkle mean? Like, what can I get out of sparkle? And it was, you know, like him trying to figure out, okay, how do I get benefit from this?
Have you articulated to him in any way what you need from him in each of the modes?
Not yet. I've kind of put little droplets because I know if I give him all the information straight away, he's going to get really overwhelmed. So I've kind of just started to put little bits of the language in, like saying, you know, going into wild mode, so I'm getting quite fiery and, you know, agitated. And so he's kind of just hearing little snippets, and then I'll slowly delve a bit deeper.
Do you talk about soul modes with your husband?
Not yet. Not in lots of detail, but I've mentioned it a few times. Just slowly dropping into conversation and introducing the ideas of things seems to have been helping so far. Like, I haven't sat down and said, so there's this thing and here it is. Because he'd be like, yeah, cool, that's great. It's been really interesting actually knowing the knowledge of the modes for me and seeing it in my kids, especially my daughter, who's only 4. But I see, like, I see it's fascinating the clash that we have, especially if she's in sparkle mode and I'm in wild mode. I'm like, oh, leave me alone. And she's like, I just want all the cuddles. But it just, again, I'm like, it's okay that I feel like this because I can give you what you need and still give myself what I need without thinking that you're just annoying me today.
You have a business partner as well.
Yes.
Of course, I imagine a friendship group and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Has it changed anything in the dynamic there, or do you approach things differently with other women?
It's definitely changed things with my business partner. We have more understanding now of why the other person might not want to do something at a particular time. And we already have gotten to the point where I'll say, okay, I need to do X, Y, Z, all these things, A, B, C, send you all the lists. Let me know when you feel like doing it all. And which is good because I'm a very much like, I need it now, give it to me 10 minutes ago. And she's like, let me just think about it and feel it. And so now I can be like, okay, I need everything now, but now in your time, not now in my time. And so she also will be like, I'm in bear mode, I just need you to leave me alone and I'll get back to you in a couple of days. And I'm like, okay. And I know that she will. So it's been, we had a really good understanding before, but I think now there's language around the understanding of how we both work. And I definitely think it's changed my interactions with other women because I honestly sometimes feel like grabbing other women and going, do you know what mode you're in right now? Because I can see it.
And yeah, when it comes to friends who also follow modes and my mum and that, you know, yeah, we definitely, you know, talk about whether or not we're beary or God, you must be wild today or whatever. And it's just such a crazy thing to have in these conversations with people that, I mean, I've known you for a while, but for other people who have not known you for that kind of amount of time or whatever, and there's people that met you through what you're doing online and then they're talking about this stuff too, it feels really surreal. It's like, yeah,